Welcome to the show, guys. Got an exciting one here for you. This is the final week before the NFL season starts and people are going to be doing their drafts. The final weekend is approaching. I'm going to be doing a mock draft here of the first 5 rounds, building a solid foundation for all of your rosters, guys. I'm going to walk you guys through the first 5 rounds in explicit detail so you guys can crush your fantasy football leagues. I'm excited to dive into this mock draft here, and we're going to be drafting from the 3rd position. Super excited. Now, I've been doing a lot of coaching calls, and we've been going through this scenario. So I'm going to help you guys as I would be like coaching the people that I'm doing the private calls with, the coaching calls, except I'm not going to be giving you all the details, all the sleepers, all that insight. If you want direct access to me, I'm pretty much booked up, but I can slot you in a couple slots and a couple cancellations. DM me the word direct, guys, on Instagram at Fantasy Football Counselor. If I see it, I'll get back to you with details on how to get on the phone with me. I know a lot of people are in some huge leagues, a lot of buy-ins, big buy-ins. I'm going to help you guys get a good ROI on that, okay? Help you guys, coach you guys through this. So DM me the word direct on Instagram. Going to walk you through everything. But if you want, it's like having me at the draft with you. Grab the 16-round draft. So I've linked it below. Use code SMASH to save. 16 rounds is the game changer. I've linked it below. Gonna put you guys light years ahead of the consensus constituents, your league mates, and everybody else. Okay, guys? It's gonna give you all the optimal players to draft in each round. Walking through full mock drafts, all laid out in detail in the 16-round course. Okay? Right now, guys, linked it below. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys do smash the thumbs up. We go year round. Hit the subscribe button. Year-round content, breaking news, everything. And I know yesterday there was some news with Jonathan Taylor missing the first 4 games, guys, of the season, going to be on PUP list. That could extend. There could be some more drama. So personally, for me, when you're looking at Jonathan Taylor, I am staying away because 4 games are too much. Similar to Kamara, right? Missing time. I don't like players missing time. I want my guy on the field the entire season, full flow, ready to go winning my leagues, okay? I cannot afford to miss even 1 game, half a game, a quarter of a game. I want my player on the field the entire time, all right? So let's dive into this mock draft here. Again, drafting from the 3rd position. If you're in the car, that's fine. I'm going to walk you guys through who is being picked. Now, in this simulation, we're going to be drafting 3rd, and already Justin Jefferson and Ja'Marr Chase are gone, which is very possible. Now, a lot of people are going Christian McCaffrey with their first pick, or Austin Eckler, which is, it happens, but a lot of people are going 0 RB. They can cheaply start telling people to go 0 RB, which is the worst thing you could do. So I am going robust RB. Now, one thing I want to implore everybody, I want to say this, if you're drafting this weekend, you haven't drafted yet, I've talked about this. I've talked about it in 16 rounds. I've talked about it in a lot of other videos. You may want to anchor your team with an ace wide receiver, which we're going to explain and show you how that's done here. Again, drafting from the 3rd position, we're going to walk through some scenarios here. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Buckle up, and again, smash that thumbs up, really helps the channel. So I'm going with the guy that I'm going with in all my mock drafts, in all my reality drafts, and everything. I'm going with Bijan Robinson here, aka Bijan, which is the real way to pronounce it, at the number 3 here. Okay, guys, it's a very easy thing for me to do. Why am I going Bijan Robinson in all my drafts? Okay, some people are like, sell me on it. Listen, it's youth. Youth is huge. It's hunger, it's work ethic, it's volume, it's solid O-line, everything, and draft capital by the team. They invested high draft capital. Everything is lining up to tell me that Bijan, knock on wood, is going to have an outstanding year. I love the talent. Again, love everything about him. Now, anybody here, if you draft in round 1, is a risk. So let's go with the first round. Let me explain some risks in round 1. Jefferson coming off 2 pinnacle years, okay? What goes up must come down. They added Addison, right? There's going to be some volume going that way. I'm not saying, he is as safe as they come, but things happen, injuries happen, things happen. Not saying it's going to happen, but he's been perfect for 2 years. So, and I don't like to go wide receiver first round. Ja'Marr Chase, he's as safe as they come. Is Burrow going to stay healthy? That's a question mark. I went by Jan. Cooper Kupp here a little early for me, but he is coming off mid-round 1. Very expensive for a guy who only had 1 good year his entire career. Let that sink in. Now, he had a couple average years in the past. 1 good year coming off injury. Travis Kelce, this guy was never a early first-round pick. That's where he's coming off. When is the year when Kelce goes down? He's been perfect for so long. When is the year, whether he suffers an injury or just regresses, when is that year happening? Maybe it's not this year, but I'm not paying a first-round ticket to find out for a guy who is pretty much overdue. Christian McCaffrey, Eckler here coming off. They come off a little earlier. And again, if you're in the car, we're walking through the first round. McCaffrey, Eckler coming off here. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra, Stephon Diggs, and CeeDee Lamb. So this is interesting because a lot of wide receivers have come off here. And that is typically what's happening in reality drafts. People are going and listening to the consensus and saying, hey, we're going to go zero RB, which is the worst thing you can do. And you're going to see some scenarios where zero RB, and we're going to see what available running back is available for those people that go zero RB, okay? So that's the first round, ending off with CeeDee Lamb. Saquon Barkley, I love how he drops here to the second, typically coming off round one. Saquon, A.J. Brown, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb super safe this year on paper. Love the Garrett Wilson pick here in round two. The reason I love Garrett Wilson is I just think the ceiling is high. I've got a bold prediction, which I don't think is that bold, that he's actually going to finish with the most fantasy points, even ahead of Justin Jefferson. Love the upside there. You know, Devontae Adams 2.0 or even possibly better. Love, love, love him. Tony Pollard, which I'm not really sold, is the true RB1. I think Deuce Vaughn's going to get some volume. And again, if they don't believe in Deuce Vaughn and Tony Pollard, there's some lingering free agents. At the time of this recording, I saw in the news, I don't know if it's broken yet, Kareem Hunt is visiting some teams, some of them being one of them. I think there's some interest from, not even the Cowboys. I think one of the, who was the ones that was interested in right now? I think the Vikings was one of the teams that was interested in him. And I think the Cowboys as well. So, yeah, there's some interest on Kareem Hunt and some other free agents like Leonard Fournette. So, I mean, I don't know if Pollard's going to be the guy. I really feel Deuce Vaughn. Make sure you fade Pollard and go Deuce Vaughn. I'm not sold on Pollard. He was a backup for years, 193 attempts last year, and he busted. He got hurt last year, even with Zeke Elliott getting that volume. So, again, Tony Pollard, I'm not really sold, is the guy. So, very expensive here. Pat Mahomes. And again, I'm going to walk you through what to do with quarterback in a second. I think that's too early. And then Chris Olave comes off. So we're on the clock here. So let's take a look at the best available here. I'm obviously going to look at running back here. Love Najee and Gibbs. And this is the question on the turn that a lot of people ask. Who do you go with, Najee and Gibbs? Now, if Taylor was here, he would be an option. His ADP is significantly dropped, clearly because he's missing 4 games. So I'm fading him completely. So this is a big question. Now, a lot of people are concerned about Jaylen Warren. Warren right there for the backup for the Steelers. I don't think he's going to be a big factor. I think he gets more work than last year. He had that big run in preseason. But listen, Najee is the man. Tomlin likes to run his one true running back, and that is Najee. Now, Najee was dealing with a foot injury, had a plate in his foot. He was dealing with the bad O-line. He was dealing with bad quarterback play. There's a lot of things working against Najee Harris. And if you remember his rookie year, this guy was a top 3 running back. So he is as safe as they come. Are you more risk adverse? Do you like a little more risk, a little more upside? If so, Jahmyr Gibbs is a great option here because he's going to contend with Montgomery, and he's a rookie, and we're uncertain on how that offense is going to function with that committee. But if you want to feel a little bit safer and you want a 230 rushing attempt floor, you go Najee Harris. I'm a little more risk adverse. I like Jahmyr Gibbs here. So I'm going to go here with going by Jalen Gibbs. Go with the huge explosive upside rookies. And I'm going to back them up with a third running back. Okay. This is very important. Okay, because you don't just trust those guys. You keep adding depth to that running back position. So round 2, Saquon, A.J. Brown, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Garrett Wilson, Tony Pollard, Pat Mahomes, Chris Olave, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, and Jonathan Taylor. Again, this is simulation. Taylor coming off very early here. And for those listening in the car, I had to recap that for you. Jalen Waddle coming off here in the third here. First pick. I don't like Jalen Waddle because he is a wide receiver too. And what happened last year is, you see like guys like Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown finishing the top 10. First of all, it's very rare that guys, I want to emphasize this, guys. This is very important. It's very rare that 2 wide receivers from the same team finish on top, both of them in the top 10, okay? And that's very rare. And what's going to make it more rare is it's going to happen 2 years in a row. So there's going to be a downfall in a guy like T. Higgins, a Jalen Waddle, particularly Devontae Smith, who finished near the top last year. Again, something goes wrong. Injury happens. Things happen. Things change. Things shift. And you're better off aiming high in the depth chart and getting guys that are true wide receivers on their team that are primed for volume. Okay, guys, this is very important. I want to emphasize, I want to make sure I hammer this point home. And again, I explained all this in the 16-round draft solution. So make sure you guys grab the 16-round draft solution. You'll be light years ahead of the consensus. Use code SMASH2SAVE. I explained this so you make sure you guys have an optimal roster. So coming back to this, I see Waddle and Allen coming off. And when I look at this, guys, I take a look at the running backs and Najee fell. If Najee fell, this is so tempting. I got to go Najee here. But if not, you got to take a look at anchoring your team with an ace wide receiver. And I don't feel Smith is an ace wide receiver. Keenan Allen is a waste of a pick here because I'm all in on Quentin Johnson later. T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Ridley. I feel like out of all these guys, Ridley is the man. I mean, if Olave could fall here, he's an option, right? And then I can go with another running back, which I'll show you in round 4, okay? You can play this one of two ways. If you want to go robust RB, feel free to go Najee. And then you got a fallout plan here with which I think is a good RB3 in Javonte Williams or someone like that, okay? Now, if I feel Dameon Pierce could fall to round 4, so I can go get my ace wide receiver and feel warm and fuzzy. So this is where this is where decision time comes in, guys. This is very important. This is where if you go robust RB, you're looking at the Christian Watsons and the Drake Londons as a nice stack there as your first wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. If you want to feel warm and fuzzy at the wide receiver position, you may want to take a Garrett Wilson, depending on where you draft. Garrett Wilson won't fall where I'm at right here. But if you want Garrett Wilson and you're drafting here earlier, you go buy Jan, you go Garrett Wilson, then you're solidifying yourself that wide receiver so you feel a little more warm and fuzzy at the wide receiver position. So this is the year. You can go robust RB, meaning you go 3 running backs, workhorse running backs in the first 4 rounds, but you want to put in ace wide receiver so you feel a little warm and fuzzy at that position. I'm going to go ahead and do that for demonstration purposes. And I do like Calvin Ridley here in the 3rd round. I think he's got a ton of ceiling. The other guys are contending with younger, hungrier guys. Jackson Smith is now in Seattle, so DK Metcalf is not appealing to me. T. Higgins, I mean, he's a little banged up, JSN. Don't mind me, but I mean, I'm talking throughout the entire season. T. Higgins, again, Jamar Chase is the alpha there. He was the alpha even though he played 12 games last year. Again, I can go into a full explanation of why I'm avoiding these guys, but I'm not going to. It's going to take 3 hours. So I'm going to go Calvin Ridley here at the number 3 position. And again, I implore you guys, this is the year. You can still go robust RB and still get an ace wide receiver in the mix. You may want to do that. Probably a good idea. All right, so let's go through the 3rd round. Waddle, Allen, and again, I implore you guys, wait on quarterback for Trevor Lawrence and Herbert. I'll explain in a second. Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris comes off. I probably would have gone Najee here and looked at, and we're going to see what that scenario, how that would have run. T. Higgins, Jalen Hurts, Deebo Samuel, Darren Waller, Stevenson, Joe Mixon. Stevenson will have a pest in Zeke Elliott harassing him this year. It's going to be really annoying. Joe Mixon, don't like him. DK Metcalf, Aaron Jones, we're around round 4. DK Metcalf, Aaron Jones, DJ Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Etienne, which I'm not wasting a 3rd or 4th round pick on him. Had the and here's the thing with Etienne. First of all, let's finish this. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Breece Hall, TJ Hawkinson. Okay, we're on the clock. The thing about Etienne, I want to explain this. The guy last year finished like 17th, guys. 17th. Sorry, I didn't have the screen up, guys. I should have had the screen up when I was talking. All right, I should have switched back over. So let's go back over this here with Etienne. The reason I'm not drafting him is because the guy finished like 17th last year, and he didn't have Bigsby there. They drafted Bigsby in the 3rd round. Bigsby can be the one there, similar to what happened with Penny last year and Walker. Etienne, guys, I'm just not sold on him being the man, okay? I cannot explain that, and I'm not wasting a 3rd or 4th round pick on a guy who I'm not sold on being the guy, okay? This is very important, guys. Etienne's going to be a waste of a pick. I implore you. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm telling you guys, they drafted Bigsby, and Etienne couldn't finish top 10 with Bigsby not there. Now Bigsby's there. So why am I investing a 3rd round pick on a guy who couldn't finish top 10 last year, and I'm investing high draft capital? Forget it. Not going to happen, okay? So a couple scenarios here, guys. We're back here on the screen. I'm looking at, if you look here real quick, this guy here went Diggs and A.J. Brown. His best running back is Stevenson and Aaron Jones, both competing with young, hungry. Well, A.J. Dillon's young and hungry, but Zeke's going to be a pest here. So I think Stevenson will be viable, but not as my RB1. Okay, this is very important. Now, we went running back here. We went Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, could have gone Najee, Ridley. We've got an ace wide receiver. I'm going to take a look here, and I do see that Dameon Pierce is right there, and he's going to be a true workhorse running back. I cannot miss the opportunity, okay? Cannot do that. Now, some people say, well, on this turn at the 411, 412, and there's 4 picks in between here, there's a chance you can. There's a chance you can miss on your ace quarterback. We saw Burrow, Lamar gone, and I don't really want to miss Herbert or Lawrence. I have to have them. But I see here that this guy here has already gone Josh Allen. You guys got to read the room. You got to read the draft board, okay? Play the board. I see that, it's very unlikely that this guy's going to go quarterback here. So I either get a Herbert or a Lawrence, and it feels like this guy may go quarterback here. So I'm still going to get either, and then Fields is still on the board. So there's more options there. So I'm almost guaranteed that I'm going to get a Lawrence and a Fields. If you're drafting kind of mid-round here and these guys don't have a quarterback and you're in this situation with Herbert and Lawrence, I want to make sure I get an ace quarterback. Guys, this is very important this year. An ace quarterback being either Herbert or Lawrence, and then back them up later. I explained this in 16 rounds. Why? Because there's a lot of uncertainty at quarterback. I still think there's a ton of upside at quarterback. I think Pickett goes off. I think Carr has a safe season. I think Russell Wilson bounces back. I think Goff is super safe. I think Aaron Rodgers, but you're not going to get that safe, warm, and fuzzy feeling every week, that 30-point potential, if you don't get a Herbert or Lawrence here on this turn. But because I know they're going to fall back, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick glance at wide receiver. I could go Drake London here, but I'm not going to. I want to get that third running back that, because it is a scarce position and Pierce will be gone. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Dameon Pierce here. It's very important that I do this and solidify my running back base core here, okay? I see Watson came off. Now, this is interesting here. I love Drake London as my wide receiver too. Deontay Johnson's here as options, but they're probably not going to come back if I don't get them here, but I will potentially for sure lose Herbert or Lawrence. Now, again, there's a ton of guys here that need a quarterback. They're not falling back, so I'm going to anchor my team with an ace quarterback here with a Herbert or Lawrence, okay? So that's what I'm going to do here. And again, I only said 5 rounds here today, but listen, let's go over this here if you're in the car and explain some scenarios on what to do the first 5 rounds so you have a base foundation no matter what you do. Now, I went high on Bijan because I believe in him. And again, I could get a lot of flack here if he doesn't turn out to be the guy that he's supposed to be, but I still have no regrets on him. I think he's a great person. I think he's got a good heart. He's a good soul. He's a hardworking individual. Great. And that's just the personal aspect. I think he's a great human being. That's a big thing that I do look at, believe it or not, when I am drafting a player, because you don't want that drama. You don't want those potential suspensions. That plays a factor, right? So this is like your team. If you were to own a team, some people are laughing, oh, he's a good person. Yeah, that's a huge factor. And again, I just talked about Joe Mixon. Maybe he's a good person now. Maybe he's changed. But if you just YouTube Joe Mixon punch, those aren't the people that I want on my league. I want a God-fearing good person on my team. And I get that with Bijan Robinson. He's a good person. Not to mention he was drafted in the first round, ultra talented, great volume, all the bonuses, right? I want hard work. And I was a big Andrew Luck fan for years. Why? Because he put his head down and grind. I was a big Julio Jones fan. Why? Because he put his head down and grinded. I like the good guys, okay? Say what you want, but I like the good guys, the guys that have work ethic, and he's got it. So that's a compelling case enough for me. Win, lose, or draw, I like Bijan, okay? And I'm going to get him no matter where I go on the board. Now, he is coming off, if I go later, there's a chance I miss him, right? A lot of people drafting him 6th. Then you go there, you stack like a Henry and Chubb, something around here. You're going to be okay. And then, you could go Garrett. Actually, you know what I'm doing here? I might go Chubb or like a Henry or a Barkley and then go Garrett Wilson coming back. I'm still going to manage to get myself here, if I'm drafting 12th, get myself a Dameon Pierce and then maybe a Javonte Williams, and I still got my ace with Garrett Wilson, okay? This is very important. So depending on where you fall, you still have an opportunity to pack in an Amon-Ra St. Brown, a Garrett Wilson, a Ridley, and a Olave somewhere in the mix, so you've anchored your team there. Now, understand, guys, as I'm going through the simulation here, there is a ton of wide receiver 1 sleepers here. You're going to see later. Like, Judy's a little banged up. He's a wide receiver 1 still. Deontay Johnson, Drake London. We're in the 5th round here, right? Jordan Addison's going to be good value. Cortland Sutton could be solid, right? And you got Quentin Johnson. Well, there's tons of sleepers here. A little dicey, right? It's not a true, you don't get that warm and fuzzy, but you're still going to get a lot of wide receiver 1s later and that value later. With running back, let's take a quick glance here. There's not a lot of safe running backs here. Madison, right? Is he a true 1? He could have a good year. I'm not really sold. There's some lingering free agents that could end up there. Cam Akers, boomer bust. I do like Javonte here. I'm not going to lie. I do think he has a safe year. Could be a 60-40 split there committee-wise. I'm not sold on Cook. Again, it gets a little dicey. I do like Charbonnet. Again, all these sleepers are laid out in 16 rounds, but again, I don't feel warm and fuzzy with these guys. J.K. Dobbins. And again, if you don't go, like this guy here, Cooper Kupp, Olave, Keenan Allen, Hawkinson, the guy that drafted 4th, Cooper Kupp, Olave, Keenan Allen, Hawkinson, his best running back is going to be a Miles Sanders or Madison or Dobbins. And that's just not good enough for me. It doesn't cut it. I want a true workhorse running back that's going to get a lot of volume and going to absolutely crush it, okay? So in this simulation, again, I'm going to go Justin Herbert here. Again, who do I like better, Lawrence or Herbert? I think Lawrence is going to run a little bit more than Herbert. I think he's got a little bit more upside, but Herbert is going to throw more. Again, it's totally up to you guys. I think both are great options here in round 5. Just make sure you don't miss out on them and get yourself a backup later, okay? As you can see, these running backs are coming off here after the fact, like the Dobbins, the Madisons, the Cooks, the Gibsons, just not guys you want to feel warm and fuzzy with, all right? So there it is, guys. Mock draft, first 5 rounds. You can get 3 workhorse running backs with an ace wide receiver mixed in, and you got that ace quarterback, guys. Go out there, guys. It's a great foundation to start your draft. You're going to be rock solid moving in. And then after that, you got to know who the sleepers are. You got to know who the breakouts are. You got to know when to grab a defense. You got to know which defense to grab. All this is laid out, guys, in the 16-round draft. So I've linked it below. Use code SMASH. Guys, I do this practically. I don't play around. My stuff is practical. I actually want to help you guys win. And this is not based on consensus. The consensus will tell you to draft Keenan Allen round 3, T. Higgins round 2. They'll tell you to just copy and paste. There's no logic. There's no thinking. I go out there. I do the thinking, a lot of the thinking for you. I break it down. I analyze the depth chart to make sure you guys have a backup plan for a backup plan and you're ultra secure. Okay, guys? Again, lots of value here for you guys as you head into your drafts this weekend. Make sure you guys do subscribe, thumbs up, and I'm going to be breaking news here, talking waiver wires. Everything's going to be laid out here. And if you want direct access to me, again, for the draft, DM me direct on Instagram. And if you want direct access, join the Patreon group right here, Fantasy Front Lines. I've linked it below for in-season content. We actually go year-round in there, but you're going to get some Q&As. You're going to get waiver wire. You're going to get starts and sits. Join the Fantasy Front Lines on the patreon.com/FF Counselor. All right, guys, there you go. Fantasy Football Mock Draft 2023 laid out for you guys. Very easy to follow. Give you guys a solid foundation. Always remember, aim high on the depth chart and get a backup plan for a backup plan. You'll be light years ahead of the consensus, okay? Don't follow the sheepsis. It'll lead you astray. Subscribe, thumbs up, lion mentality, guys. I'm out.